doesn't make sense to me anyway. But Professor Dominic McVey is the trustee of the Overseas Development Institute and joins us now. Dominic, thank you very, very much. Hey, look, please give me some examples of what on earth we're getting out of foreign aid. What's the bang for our buck?
Well, I mean, you've used some very scathing examples, and rightly so. We have to hold the government to account on how it's spending taxpayers' money, but we don't hear enough about the positive stories and the positive investments that foreign aid makes. And it's not just the FCDO that invests in foreign aid. Foreign aid is spent by all departments of the British government, from the Treasury right through to the business and energy sectors. I've been a major investor in Kenya, for example, where I originally used to manufacture garments for the US market. It wouldn't have been possible to do business in Kenya if it wasn't for the UK government's flagship Aid for Trade programme, Trademark East Africa, which made it possible for me to move goods in and out of Kenya. That also makes it possible for things like tea, coffee, vegetables, grains to come from places like Kenya, Rwanda at affordable prices, despite the cost of food prices. If the British government had not made those investments in trade for development, food prices would be increasing even more considerably, because we wouldn't have made the investments in partner countries like Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda to make sure that food can get seamlessly from parts of the African continent where it grows all year round onto our plates where we can't grow bananas.
And of course, Kenya, along with Britain, the two best countries on the planet, but I might be a bit biased on that one. But is there a case, now that we are in exceptional circumstances, to perhaps even look to cutting that 0.5% that we're currently spending even more? Because as we mentioned there, the total spend is still £11 billion. I mean, even £1 billion would be incredibly useful right now for going towards helping causes here at home. And people will feel like, why are we spending that money abroad when people here are struggling to even heat and eat here at home?
Well, if we don't make the investments into climate change, if we don't help developing nations with their climate agenda, if we don't secure rare earths, minerals which are critical to our mobile phones, to our cars operating, to the electronic and digital revolutions that we want, we'll be an island isolated from the rest of the world. We won't have that access. You often talk about, and rightly so on this show, China and China's dominance in the international arena. Do we want to play in the international arena, or are we going to close our doors? Because if we close our doors, there is going to be even less food on our plates. It's going to be even more costly. The cost of living will increase. The cost of gas will go up. And what we know is, through overseas development aid and investment, we get money back. It pays back for the British taxpayer. You might not see it, but companies like JCB, if it wasn't for the support of the British government, they wouldn't be able to create the thousands of jobs they have here in the UK and export goods internationally. So from manufacturing through agriculture, pharmaceuticals, we have big programs with India on our vaccine programs around COVID. If we hadn't made the investments in India, if we hadn't committed to ODA in India with our policy work, the work on technical assistance, we would not be as far forward as we are with our vaccine program. So our cost of living will go up. The crisis will increase. 11 billion compared to the trillions of dollars in our GDP is minuscule, and it is paying back.
And I completely understand that intertwined nature and the return we get, I suppose, on that investment. And just very finally, is there something as well in this about soft power that we have, I suppose, and countries sort of forming bonds with certain countries to build that trusting relationship and build that interdependence? Is there something to be said for that as well?
Well, of course, we have to support countries like Ukraine, who will be beneficiaries of ODA, and we also have to support those that we see as our key trading partners in the future. We cannot be successful as a nation if we don't have those key trading relationships. There's a misconception that China receives huge amounts of overseas development aid from the UK. It's about £900,000. It doesn't go to the Chinese government. It probably goes to countries in Africa and Southeast Asia, which need to understand what the Chinese government is doing in their countries so that they can make a fair choice, and that they understand that Britain is there to give them the option to work with China, but understanding the ways that they're engaging with China. The money is spent in various ways, and I think if there's one thing I could say to the British public and also the ministers responsible for the budget is actually be much more transparent and have the dialogue on what this money is doing for Britain, what it's doing for the British people, and actually talk about the examples where it really is creating jobs. Not only is it creating jobs, it's reducing human suffering, it's increasing trade, it's benefiting the climate, it will ultimately help bring down our cost of living and the energy crisis, and quite simply it also helps stop money launderers in Ghana, where the British government is likely supporting the Treasury in Accra. So it pays back, and its soft power is doing a lot to help the governments in developing countries evolve their economy so they can be trading partners of Britain for the future.
Good stuff. Professor Dominic McVey, thank you very much. Trustee of Overseas Development Institute, and giving, I suppose, a positive spin on foreign aid. You know what? Fair enough. Because look, I know it's very easy for me to use those kind of usual ones. I think there's the Mozambique Spice Girls, isn't there? We gave them £5 million to, and we all remember that album, don't we? No, exactly. And obviously what I said about India, and look, there's loads of these cases. China gets some stuff, but as you rightly highlighted there, I thought the example of the garment trade as well in Kenya, I thought was a cracking example. So credit where credit's due. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We'll have to have you back on the show.
Yeah, maybe it's just the government need to tell people more what